We're live streaming this part?
Yep,
Oh,
it's a public
perfect.
meeting.
Look at Andrea, I can write and talk,
There you go, you gotta call it to order.
That was not what I was saying, Beck.
but I don't do it well. It's a mess.
I'm not writing your signature.
Call to order? Do we do interruptions?
Sure, yeah.
Welcome to our special board meeting where we are signing warrants for the ballots for the referendum, which will be held on June 11th,
And
2024.
Budget meeting will be on the 28th.
And the budget meeting is on the 28th. We will begin by introductions from board members, beginning with Jeff.
Jeff Hanley.
Diane Potter.
Molly Rogers.
Becky Fless,
Tony Veet.
Megan Carlson.
Sean Pogue.
Joanne O'Brien.
administrative staff,
Beth Hopkins, Superintendent.
Andrea Dish, Business Manager.
Sarah Bolduc, Assistant Director of Special Services.
Gabe Dostey, Director of Operations.
Terry McGuire, Director of Technology.
thank you. Are we discussing and signing at the same time?
Sure. There were a
All right.
lot of people who've already signed, so.
So, first item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the annual financial audit.
No, the vote to call and approve the warrants.
She went to blue instead of. Vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum and to authorize the notice amounts adopted. A motion to approve, please.
So you have in front of you the official vote that needs to be taken. So the motion, sorry, it's all very legal.
It's fine.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's fine. The motion is, I move that the vote entitled, vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted be approved in form presented to this meeting and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting. Vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted. Voted that too?
You don't have to read the entire thing
Okay.
if you don't want to.
Second.
Any questions? Does anyone want me to read the next 3 paragraphs? All those in favor? The motion carries flawlessly. Thank goodness. All right, next is the blueprint. A discussion regarding the annual financial audit.
So I am coming to the board, asking their permission, to change our audit, our auditor. So if many of you, and I just want you to know that, had we had finance, I would have brought this conversation to finance, but since we didn't have finance, I'm bringing it to the full board. Those of you in finance have heard my struggles with our current auditor. He's a very, nice person. He, is overburdened. And another firm reached out and provided a quote, and I am requesting permission to change auditors.
Can you tell us who and the quote?
So the quote is comparable to what we currently pay. So our audit is actually done in 2 pieces. There's a consultant piece and then who actually prepares the financial statements that has been and will be Hank Farah, who has was our auditor for years with Runyon Kirsty. He left and is consulting on his own. So, but what we did at that point was we split the audit in 2. The second half of the audit is the actual audit, where somebody comes in and reviews and looks at compliance and documents and internal controls and that second piece. That is the piece that I'm looking to switch up. The new firm is a firm out of Waterville. Their name is Nicholson, something and something, my apologies. They reached out to us, and I just want you to know that in a day where everyone is struggling to find auditors, I was flattered that people were reaching out to us. In fact, that is the second one who has reached out to us. So I heard, he also works with Hank on Waterville's audit, AOS, I want to say 92. And Hank has worked with him in the past. Hank says good things. The bid was competitive and I met with him via Google and comfortable, and I'm hoping that this year our audit can be submitted on time. So therefore, I am asking to make that change.
According to Google, it's Nicholson, Mishu, and Edo,
Thank you.
and they have a 5.0 rating of the 4 people who've given them a rating.
They are a very small firm and they are very selective about the business they take. And now they're only doing clients on referral or apparently reaching out to specific clients.
Why did they reach out to us?
I don't honestly know. Who's the other firm that reached out? I want to say, no, I don't want to say it on camera because I'm not sure. But after conversation with Hank, who has worked with both, this is the audit firm that I would prefer to work with. And like I said, the audit amount was comparable. So anyway.
And again, for those who are new, our audits are supposed to be done over the summer months and through the fall. And all of the information is supposed to be submitted to the Department of Education by the end of December. This year, while all of the internal work here in the district had been completed, it was not ready to be submitted to the Department of Education. We had to ask for an extension twice. And it was finally submitted and signed off either the end of March or the end of April.
Right. I want to say it was
March.
Yeah, it was March. And I just want to be clear. The number of governmental auditors in the state is dwindling and people, school districts were required by the state to have an annual financial audit. It is so bad that they're dropping their bad clients because they don't want to spend time because obviously a client requires more of their work. So it is really hard for school districts to find an auditor. In fact, when the state reached out to Pat and I about an audit not being submitted, there was a list of school districts on that list, and we were in good company, and it's just because they are so overstretched. I have nothing but good things to say about our previous auditor, other than the fact he is overstretched. And I am hoping that when Eric Nadeau reached out to me, he asked me what I was looking for. And I said the one thing that I wanted was that the audit was would be submitted on time, unless there was an issue on our end, which honestly there has never been. So, and just so that we mentioned being late, this is the first time in 30 years that we have not submitted an audit on time in my tenure. So it's not.
But our work was done. It wasn't that our work wasn't done.
Mhm.
And being late steps on Andrea's hot button.
Yeah, but yeah.
Andrea is a little bit of a perfectionist.
Just maybe a little.
Mhm.
But that's a good thing to have when it comes to the books.
And we went in with, you don't have a contract or anything.
It's a year-to-year contract. Mhm.
And again, this is Hank, our former auditor that went into private practice, would support this.
Yeah.
He's doing the consulting, and he and I had conversations about the new firm, and he feels very good about it. Honestly, I wouldn't have asked for us to make this change without an endorsement from him.
I would support your decision. I mean, it's people you have to work with, and I trust your judgment, and especially the timeliness of it is important. Did we?
So that's a motion?
Oh, yes, I would make a motion to accept.
Second from Molly. Questions or conversation? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
All right, next, we just wanted to take a moment to update you on some of the work that's happening behind the scenes here with the school. So first is the performance contract with EMC. They were here yesterday. I think there were 5 of them here, and met with Gabe, myself, Terry, and looking at what the plan is to go into our buildings to start doing an assessment on energy efficiency. So Gabe, I had to leave that meeting early. Do you want to just update them?
Yeah, so we just kind of went through the hot topic items that we want to make sure that we look at each of the buildings and some of the kind of focused group instead of, looking at too much and kind of going off in the wrong direction. We're trying to focus on what's important for us as a district to look at. Of course, they're gonna look at any energy savings. And if they can save energy in any way, those are the things that we're gonna try to focus on doing. Whether it's trying to reduce our propane or natural gas usage and change over to heat recovering ventilators to capture, instead of just exhausting room temperature air into the atmospheres, to capture that energy and bring it back into the pool to reuse. But still being able to get the ventilation that we need. So those are the items. LED lighting is a big ticket right now with incentives. And there are large incentives with doing heat recovery, heat pumps, those items. So if we can grab incentives along with energy savings, and basically all of this would be used to offset the cost of all of these projects.
Gabe, did they indicate how long it's going to take to complete this assessment so that they'll be back in front of the board with an
Right,
overview?
so they are going to be starting their process. We're gonna do a check-in in 60 to 90 days. So that brings us pretty much back around to the end of summer. But they're hoping to have the bulk of their work done by then and the assessments of the buildings. And so as long as they can have that work done. So hopefully by maybe, one of our September board meeting is to do an update and have a good chunk of the information to be able to present to the board by then, to see where we would steer. And also they're gonna categorize needs in a way where red is the immediate, we need to look at it now. This stuff needs to be fixed or it's not working at all. These are the items that we need to look at. And then the next category, say, would be, your yellow, these are the middle ground. And then green, we can look at those as like a 10-year project, so to categorize them down into projects. And we can pick and choose anything we want, or they even mention that, if we, even though it's not in the top category, we feel that, one of the middle pieces is more important, we can take a look at that and see and run the numbers to see what the payback would be on that project. But really, it's energy savings, that's their focus.
And so one thing that I have done, just so you know, in regards to EMC, they have already given us and calculated the cost to switch over the classroom lights to LED and the savings, the rebate, all of that. So we already have a figure on what that would be in every single building. So we are running near the end of our ESSER funding, right? That is going to end in September, the end of September. So we've met recently to see how much money was left over. And I don't have the number in front of me, but it was a little bit over $300,000 that was left. So what I did is I took the cost to upgrade all of the lighting in the middle school, because I had a pocket of money and I had to look at where I could make it fit, and the middle school project fit. And so hopefully, if I can get that approved, it's been submitted to the state, I'm still waiting for approval. If I can, then this summer, the middle school, all of those classrooms will be updated to LED lighting. So that can be removed from the project and you won't have to finance it, okay?
Yeah, so that just kickstarts us and we'll be ahead of the game on that for sure.
When we did lighting retrofit before with Siemens, the middle school did not.
So those were, we did, Andrew know a little bit, but it was just before my time. But yes, there was a T8 fluorescent lighting upgrade, so they went to high efficiency, which these are also the TA bulbs. This would be bringing everything to LED lighting.
Yep.
It'll look different than what's here. Also a big part of the LED upgrade is the controls for it.
Okay.
They calculate, a certain savings with the LED lights on, say at 100%. A lot of rooms, they find that the LED lights are a lot brighter than your fluorescents.
So
So
bright.
you don't need them at 100%.
Gotcha.
So this control, we can set the controls, and they're also smart controls. So on the southern side of the building, when the sun comes in, the lights will actually dim to keep the light the same
So
in the room. So they're sensors. And with bringing the light that's used from the LEDs, that on top of that, the savings is just compounded, which that's not even figured into what we would get back, or their energy savings for that they feel we will at least, save for the year.
So my only concern is, we did all of those schools, it was a 17-year and we're still currently paying on that. We cannot remove any of those parts that are part of the previous project and replace them, because that project still isn't paid in full. I mean, we still probably have 9 more years to pay on our current project. So I can't imagine that the people who financed it will allow us to remove anything that was done during that project until that project is paid in full.
Well, and the majority, I mean, that's news to me. That's something that you hadn't previously shared. And the majority of the work was upgrades to our furnaces, right? We went from oil, we switched over to natural gas or to propane. We took out some of our boilers, some of them that were original with the building, right? And we replaced them and made them more efficient. That was a large part of that project.
It was also a lighting project, and I did mention it when the 3 of us met with Tom, the 3 of us.
Yeah, so-
Sorry, I don't remember that.
Yep.
So I'm not even talking about the Siemens portion of it, that none of those lights, the only lights that were upgraded during that portion, they did some LED lighting, but it was exterior pole lights and 1 elementary school gym for LED lighting upgrades
Really?
for that.
They
Okay.
didn't do classrooms.
No classrooms.
I think part of it was the expense.
Yep.
We really
Yep,
thought
we
it was
did- we
going
weren't-
to
we weren't-
be more efficient to go to natural gas. It was on the list.
There
But we
was
couldn't
the
afford it.
payback, the payback wasn't there. The paybacks, there again, the forms calculate all the paybacks. And most of the schools, they're within about the 7-8 year payback for these right now. If you're looking at with the incentives and like I said, what the rate is that they're saying that we would save if they were on 100%. But again, they're hoping to be able to even save more on that.
Yeah. To be sure, however, we probably need to pull the previous project scope
Yeah, okay,
to
sure.
make sure that we're not.
Yeah, we can check all that, for sure.
And will they
That's not a
be motion censored? So that nobody has to, that was another piece, correct, in the other
Right,
project?
so they already have room sensors in the classrooms already. So they do have occupancy sensors, so that would be tied in, but the big piece is to be able to dim as they would need.
Yes.
Or they'll have them so you can turn off a bank that it's next to the projector. So those are the sort of things. It's a much better control. And we're able to be able to tie into that system remotely also to be able to control it, which would be nice. Not that I want to turn lights off, not everybody,
On the
but
weekend.
we can set things at a certain.
So, but your concern is that this overlap here, this,
We can't, that we just can't start ripping infrastructure out if it if it
So,
technically
look-
belongs to somebody else.
can we pinpoint anything that we shouldn't be touching?
That's why Gabe and I just mentioned to Gabe, we need to pull the previous project scope to see those things that were actually changed.
Yeah.
And also thank you.
You're welcome.
The $300,000 money, the fee, is that gonna be consumed by this project, all of it?
I have, I was gonna report in June. where the rest of it will go.
Okay. So we don't know actually the total cost of this lighting upgrade?
It's
in middle
just for
school.
the middle school,
Yeah.
it's gonna be after the rebate about 222,000.
So we'll have still some left over from.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we pulled during the budget process, like we pulled a bunch of stuff for curriculum.
Mhm.
And it's gonna pay for some supplies and materials for curriculum. It's gonna pay for an app that we had originally had in there anyway. It's a mental health app for students to use. And then there's a communication tool with Aptergy and Thrillshare, which is the message, the platform that we use to communicate. And it's called Rooms, and it will just improve our ability to communicate with families. There's that, and there's a little money that we are sending over for paving, which was a project that we already had in there before, so that Gabe will be able to do a little more paving at the high school.
This money we can't use to reduce tax burden, right?
Correct,
We have to spend it,
correct. And we want to spend it on one-time expenses
right?
because it's gonna be gone. Yeah,
Jeff, we're required to have those funds allocated by September, and those projects need to be billed, invoiced to the state, because the deadline for reimbursement is December. We are on the tail end of this grant, and Pat and I are just trying to make sure that we spend all of the monies that we had. Okay? You're welcome.
so there's no action with EMC. We just wanted to bring you up to speed since we just had that meeting. And since we're on the front end and you just approved us moving forward, we wanted to bring you into the loop. The next one, however, we are going to need an approval from you. Let me distribute a proposal that just came in this week. This is from WBRC. That is the architectural firm that the board approved to move forward with doing an assessment of our buildings to help us submit applications for new construction. As a reminder, those applications are due August 31st. So these folks have already been in the building. They've already done a bit of assessment. I believe there was some people there today. And so what I just handed out was the agreement, talks about all the work that they're going to do, what it encompasses, and it talks about the project schedule and the project fee. Personally, I mean, that's a lot. That it's going to be somewhere between 48 and 58. I actually thought that was it's cheaper than I thought it was gonna be. It's a lot of work to get in there, do that complete assessment, help us write up all of those applications. So I was actually pleased by this amount. I have asked Gabe to communicate with the lead person that they need to get started so that we can use some of the unused contingency that we build in every year into Gabe's budget, that we can use some of that to pay for a bulk of it. Then the rest of it will have to come out of some of the contingency for next year.
Yeah, and that's why we started today.
Yeah.
We're trying to kickstart it and go as quickly as possible there. So today, we just did a walkthrough at the high school with a structural engineer. And so for each of our schools, it's structural, civil engineers, electrical engineers. So we are mechanical, we're looking at all aspects of all the buildings, ADA compliance, you name it, it's a broad, this is the broad scope and not the energy side of it, so,
Right.
and our energy saving side, this is everything.
But they will
Yep.
communicate and share information between the two.
Yep.
And they are uncovering certainly some issues at the high school.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. And just as a reminder that while the applications are due in August, it takes a full year for the Department of Education to tour all of the schools for that submitted applications, all the districts that submitted applications. Takes a full year for them to do that review and then to rate them. So we're rushing to have everything done in August, but we won't know until probably the following summer of 2025 how we rate and what
Wow.
rank we are.
Yeah.
So,
So, just to be clear, so they do a separate assessment or they take what we're going to get?
They take what we give them and then they send a team to our building, to our district, and they want to walk around so they can actually visualize and see it. And then they do their ranking and they do that type of tour for every single application that's submitted from around the state.
Yeah, so I talked to Mike a little bit more today about it. And he said the more that we can attach to the application, more photos, more information, in depth, the better educated they're going to be before they even get to the school. Because they're gonna look through all these packets and look through everything. So when they walk through, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was on, page 4, here's the photo, here it is in real life.
And that's where EMC, even they're doing different work, that assessment can be attached to
Yep,
this. as well.
Absolutely.
I would think that's very valuable
Mhm.
because we don't know what the, I'm guessing they have expertise from the DOE, but what is their area of expertise when it comes to rating buildings? That would be, not that I doubt them.
But they're not engineers necessarily. Some of them are former superintendents.
Right.
Right, going through, they're not actually
Yeah.
engineers necessarily.
If someone wanted to apply to the state for a new building, is this required or is this the bonus that we have this?
It is not required, however, it is encouraged that you have this type of documentation, because if you don't, as Gabe said, if you don't, they're not going to see all that is wrong with
So this
the
is like the
building.
cherry on top. I mean, this is what
This
you
is a
really want.
very, very, very competitive process. Last time, I don't remember, probably 70, 80. I want to say there were 70 or 80 applications submitted, and that's just a guess. But it's a lot. And they funded over the course of 5 years, 7,
I was gonna
8?
guess 10. I was gonna say 10 or fewer.
10 maybe on the high end. And if you are fortunate enough to be in that sweet spot, right? Then it's still going to be 8 to 10 years before anyone walks into a new building. So just so you are aware, this is a very long process.
It's a 24-step process, I believe it is. It's strictly laid out by the state, how every little piece needs to go. This is one of the first portions of it with the application. Then the state does their walkthrough, so we have to do each of the steps to be able to qualify for the next step.
So this is
I'm sorry.
I've got, and Molly had her hand raised.
getting ahead of it, but what about land? Have we thought about that?
That would be part of the process if approved. They will do an analysis and determine whether you can remain on the same piece of property, whether you need to look for another piece of property. There are schools that are built entirely different piece of property. There are others where, you go to school in your building and the new building is built on another locations. For us, if it were at the high school, maybe it's built where the play fields are. Right? And then you don't have play fields for a while. And then the building is just, demolished, thank you, is demolished. And your play fields are then constructed. But it's a very long time. There was a high school that opened last year before. They were number 1 on the list and it was 12 years before they walked through the door. So you need community approval. There's just so many steps to all of it. So this is the first step. It's really an important step, but just understanding if you are approved next year, it doesn't mean we're gonna have a building in 2 or 3 years. So.
I see here that they say it is their understanding that we're gonna provide them with basic document information. Can we do that? What they're listing here? The site plans, floor plans, exterior elevations in the DWG format?
Yep, we've already done.
How about digital?
Digital, they are being digitized.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, they're being digitized and part of this process, we will be able to keep the digitized plans, which is a bonus for us. We get to keep all of the documentation.
Because I see everything that they have to do, they'll have an increased fee for it, so, all right, good.
No, Gabe's done a lot of that. Did we find Pittston Randolph?
That's the only one.
Okay.
We have no plans for Pittston Randolph.
Yeah.
But for at least for the application, what we have, because we've done an application for Pittston Randolph
Yeah.
in the past, we're able to use that documentation to support this. So we've been able to capture something.
Okay, thank you.
That was kind of my question is, well, no, now it's. let's see. But this is a valuable investment. I think it's
It's
worth
a
it,
very valuable.
but it's, only if we weren't to be approved next year. You know, I'm hearing that in future applications, we could potentially use the information again. But it's kind of we're paying for with the guarantee on the return.
True, however, even if you are not funded, right, and you're not within that sweet spot, I think the information it provides the
Yeah.
board so that as you develop, and Gabe, as he develops his capital improvement plans, you know, we see the things that need to be improved. They may uncover some greater priorities that we weren't even aware of, that we have to take care of. So
It's red zone.
those red zone things. So again, we may want a new school, but if we can't walk into a building for at least 10 years, you can't stop maintaining it for 10 years.
Anyway.
We have to make sure that it's a safe, healthy environment for our staff and students.
And that was what you were saying about it wouldn't be held against us for making those
Correct.
improvements or those
Correct.
repairs.
Correct. Yep, would be held harmless.
Once,
right?
yeah, once the application's in,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Can I add one more thing? In response to Molly's comment, this document would be a great jumping off point for our next one. But the other comment that I was going to make is the state of Maine doesn't open construction applications very often. It's not on a schedule. Basically, they open them up as they retire debt. So we never know when the next school construction funding application process will open. It depends on how expensive the schools are and when the state is able to retire the debt that it's paying for other districts. So it's very erratic. Sorry.
No, that's true. It's just getting more and more expensive to construct these schools, so.
I just want to double check on, all the schools are listed here. I'm thinking we're actually got sort of two things that we might be looking at. One, or particularly the high school comes to mind, but then also a consolidated elementary school.
So if Pittston Randolph Consolidated, if that school rated high,
Yeah,
right? Because that's also our oldest building, then I think that would open the door for you to be able to have a conversation with the state about a consolidated building. I think the same might be true if the high school were approved, that you could have a similar conversation about the middle school. Do you want a consolidated middle school? The answer may be no. The answer might be, let's explore it. I mean, they do it at Coney now. So again, there are a lot of savings that can be generated when you're all in one building. And you could design a facility where the middle school is completely separate from the high school. They don't have to interact, and they could have some common spaces, or they could have separate spaces, but under the same roof. There are lots of opportunities, and the state will have those conversations with you, and you all and the community will have to make those types of decisions. So we do need a motion for this one, so they can officially get started.
So.
I make a motion, we accept the proposal as written.
I second that.
All right, any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Great, thank you.
Okay, next.
All right, we are beginning our hiring process, our hiring season. So I'm pleased to recommend Michaela Green. She will be one of the anticipated kindergarten teacher positions at Helen Thompson. Willa Barron Willa is currently in ed tech for us, and we want to hire her as an English language arts teacher at the middle school. And then we have Alyssa Koskela, who will be coming to us as a grade 9 earth science teacher. Yeah, we're excited. She's really excited about the building and all that she can do. Yeah, so
Excellent.
Where's she coming from?
Belfast.
Hmm.
And Miss Aaron is a graduate.
I
Yes, she
know.
is. Yes, she is.
And a twin.
I just had a question. We're losing an English teacher at the high school. We can't move that teacher into the middle school?
That person didn't choose you have contracts. And in your contracts, you have what's called impact areas. So people are listed in impact areas. So you have at the high school a 9 through 12 impact area. And so with for English, and then you have a different impact area in middle school. So it's not an automatic transfer. It has to be that the position is opened, because it falls again under that different impact. It's just not, it would be different if it were like an elementary school. We have a K-5 impact area. Then if a position is eliminated, like it was in first grade, it's just a shifting and a moving around and reallocation. It just doesn't necessarily work that way at the middle school and high school.
I was gonna say, in particular, Maine could, coming from New Jersey, middle school and high school, that license, you could switch, but here in Maine, the license is specific to.
I'm not talking about the license. I'm
Okay.
talking about the negotiated contract that the school board has with the association.
Okay.
And there are things called impact areas. And so you have an impact area, which might be a science impact area, music, and English, social studies. That is very common in Maine to have those types of impact areas. And so if you have someone in an impact area, they cannot automatically just shift to a different impact area.
We can negotiate impact areas, right? And next
Through the
contract,
negotiation process.
if we wanted to change that, we could do that.
If the association, of course, were in agreement and you guys could come into an agreement, then it could be. Yep,
But it's a negotiated thing between.
correct.
Other questions?
Yes, you said once, the teachers are contractually obligated for 180 days a year, is that
181.
181? Is that based on a 5-day work week?
No, the state law says that you have to have 175 student days. You're required to have 5 workshop days. And in our district, we have an additional day to make it 181.
So would that be 35 weeks?
We get to determine what the schedule looks like. The law only says the number of days that have to be worked. It doesn't say like hours or weeks. It's specific to days.
So you don't break the 181 days down into 5-day work weeks?
No.
May I have a motion?
I would move we accept the new hires as listed, the new.
Second by Megan. Other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Great, thank you.
Excellent, thanks.
Okay. So now, yeah, we just need to go into executive session.
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
Yes.
Oh, we need a motion. I mean, we need a vote.
All in favor?
I'm trying to, I'm double tasking here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try, are the documents completely signed by everybody? I'm gonna get- Before you shut me out.
So Terry, I anticipate that there will be action coming out of executive session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
I would like to entertain a motion to follow the superintendent's recommendation to move Sarah Bolig-Ignasiak into the Director of Special Ed position. And should she say yes, to welcome her.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? We welcome you.
Congratulations.
Yay. So good.
Super excited.
That's great.
Okay, and that is it, 5:25. Thank you all. That was a lot.
Look
in
what we
1 hour.
did.
So next, we're gonna take a transition period. Policy is next. So for those on policy,